biggest parts about getting out the matrix is actually to free your own mind. Anybody that believes that they can't be successful because they have a child is a coward.
So Justin, I want this episode to be like the guide for any young guy that wants to level up their life and know how to handle money, success, women, fitness. I think everything begins with the ability to make money. I think for a guy, like, we can talk about a bunch of other things, but if you don't have that down, like, you can advance. I come from a third world country. My childhood was really difficult. And I think that made the biggest changes in my life in general. I want to know your take on that, and how do you think about money, especially when you're young and you're dirt poor? How do you make that first deal, that first breakthrough that puts you in a position to then level up?
I would say, in addition to what you said about money, I would actually put fitness. I do put fitness in front of money.
Interesting.
And the reason I put fitness in front of money is that if you have a healthy body and mind, it makes business so much easier. And in addition to making business easier for you to think out and figure out your decisions you need to make, you get a certain level of respect when you walk in a room. So if you walk in a room full of men and you're trying to get a deal done, let's say like the one we were talking about before at the restaurant about putting the development deal together. A guy is going to trust you with his money and trust you with his deal, or trust you with the contract that he's responsible and he's subbing out to you, or whatever it is, on a higher level if he gets signs of discipline from you. And fitness is a very good way to show that discipline. There's studies out there that say that people assume that people that are in shape are smarter. Might not be true, but that assumption is real. Perception is reality. Perception of discipline is real. Actual discipline is obviously real as well. And that's just one of those things that you can't fake in this world. So you have a clear mind, your body's been shaken up, all the cells in your body have been moved around. You can think more clearly. You've had sweat come out of your body. Like, you've really got the whole engine running. So you're top optimal level physically, ideally. And then the respect that you garner, particularly from other men, is really going to help you in business. It's going to help you in leadership as well. Mm-hmm. I think being in good shape makes business substantially easier. Is it fair? No. Is it true? Absolutely. When it comes to being a young man making money, I think it's more important not to focus on the money, but the system that gets him the money. So I was recently asked on a podcast, they said, Justin, what should I do to get my first 100 grand? And I said to them, my friend, that is the wrong question. The right question is, how can I build a system that will spit me out 100 grand a month? And so for me personally, when I was a young man, I was always thinking in that way. It's like, man, if I could just get $10,000 saved up, I could do this X, Y, Z. When really it should have been, if I can put a system in place that I can do every day, I'll be making 10, 20, 30,000 a month. And focusing on the actual system, and Nick Saban would call it the process. Do you know who Nick Saban is?
No.
He's an Alabama football coach, but he keeps winning national championships year after year after year with new players and new coaches because he works on that process so much. He messes with the gears of his business that it spits out winning results every time. So really, if a young man is trying to get to money, he needs to get to 30,000 feet and be able to look at that business and all the pieces and parts that make that system work in order to spit out the result, because the money is just simply the result of something that's previously been done. So managing the gears and the systems in the business is what will give you the result of money. And then everything else is just accounting, really. So that's what I'll tell a young man, is to focus on learning how to build systems, and that will pay you no matter what you do. Building systems in a business, whether that's around people or what have you, is definitely the best way.
Does it matter the industry and like the field they're going into? Like if
I genuinely think you could take two entrepreneurs and put one in an online tech subscription-based business and put one in, let's say, trucking, and this guy is going to look like Steve fucking Jobs, and this guy is probably not going to do as well. They could be the same entrepreneur, it could be the same person. So yeah, I do think the business model has a lot to do with it. Looking back, I didn't pick the best business model, but it was the only consciousness I had. It was the only thing I knew to do. You know, maybe if I'd have been born here in LA, I might have wanted to be a director. I might have saw an opportunity in the movie business. So a lot of times it's your consciousness. But one thing I would say is that generally now, I'm not interested in anything that you eat what you kill. You hunt and you get paid. You hunt and you get paid. Now I want a return on investment of my time, and I don't want it to continue to pay me. So real estate's a great example of that. You know, I buy a big apartment building. There's a lot of work. There's a system to make that happen, right? I buy the property, but now it pays me forever. Whereas in construction, I built a system to win projects, but I do that one project and then I'm right back out hunting. Whereas in real estate, it pays me forever. I made a tweet earlier this year. I said that real estate is the OG of the subscription-based model, and it's completely true. And it comes with depreciation and everything else. So.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. That's something I'm trying to build in my field. So as a director, you work kind of the same way. Like you do work, you try to get a project.
You need royalty projects, right?
Yes, I need projects that now as a producer, I'm in a different position, and now. In my future, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into distribution. So as a producer, when I did my first movie that got distribution and got into Apple TV, as an artist and as a filmmaker, I was like, I made it. Like, it was very difficult. It's almost like you building your first like big building. Right. It took me 2 years to build that movie. I did it on nights and weekends. I would wake up like at 5 a.m, work on that movie. Then I was working on a TV show for Apple TV at the time, do a full day, 12 hours there, come back home, do a little bit more work on my movie. And then when I finished it and got distribution, like the day the agent called me and said like the movie's going on Apple TV, like it's live right now.
Yeah.
Dude, like I got teary eyes. I was driving, we were scouting a location. Like I got teary eyed and I feel like, wow, I made something amazing. But I do not control the distribution for that movie. The platform is taking a 30% cut. Then the agency is taking another cut. So like I'm making 25 cents on the dollar on that deal. I'm still making money. And if that movie blows up in 2 years, I could make $5 million or I could make zero money. Like it's in a way it's up to me, but I'm not controlling every step of the process. And that's what I want to get into in my future. I want to have not one movie that I make and it takes me 2 years. I want to go and find 10 directors, acquire their movies, and it's almost like you going and acquiring property. But I think the hard part is as a young guy, like the way that I think and that I am right now is very different to when I came right out of film school. I just needed to put like food on the table. I was married. I had 2 kids. I wanted to do all of these businesses and real estate. And like, I've always been business minded, but it's very difficult. So what would you say to that guy that, you know, is 24 and he needs to bring in some money and he can't think about how can I make a deal that is going to make me money like passively. How can I bring money right now?
Yeah, for sure. So what you went through is something that I went through in construction is I realized where I was in the food chain. You were way low in the food chain right there. That's okay. I was low in the food chain when I was building metal buildings because you have to understand there is the owner at the very, very top or the investor, and then they hire an architect, and then the architect hires a contractor, a general contractor. Then I was a subcontractor. So I was way down the food chain myself. What you realize in that moment is that, hey, I need to go up the food chain and hire a level of these guys that were doing what I'm doing and create systems to be spitting out money all the time. And the terms of your agreement will probably give you the royalties in the end. So a lot of times in business, if you find that you're passionate about something or you have a goal and you want to go into an industry, understand where you are in the food chain, accept and take the money. I still make a lot of money in construction, a large amount of money. And I take that money, I make it, I try to protect it from taxes legally only, and then I try to make it grow by putting it into real estate.
This special episode is brought to you by A+ Creation Studio. They are a design firm in Los Angeles. So if you need any architectural work for residential or commercial, check out their link in the description.
So if I were an individual and I made a movie, and I understood where I was in the food chain, much like you did. You've already done this. You've already identified this pattern. I would take the money and then go put it into something that'll pay me forever and do my best to be able to do that. And another thing you'll be able to do with that is once you start buying equipment and everything, you're making this residual money, but you get to depreciate the equipment and everything against the money that you're making. Whereas in your situation before, when you made that quick lick, you really didn't have a lot of places to put it. Like for me, I could depreciate trucks and things like that in the business, but those aren't going to put an impact in if you're making millions of dollars of profit a year. So for a young man, I would say that take advantage of the time where you have unicorn blood and you're willing to work 18 hours a day and you can run through a wall and you don't even need to sleep and you can cut your arm off and it would grow back. You know what it's like to be a very young man.
Yeah.
I very much remember that. And accept where you are. That's okay. But understand where you are in the food chain and what it would take to get yourself in a position where you would get a return on investment on everything you do for as long as possible. And I think when you're paying attention to a model, that's important. And then also I would tell a young man that if you think you want to go into industry, pick the guy you think you want to be when you grow up and take a very deep, close look at his life, not only from a work perspective, but a personal perspective. What kind of health is he in? Is he getting to spend time with his family? Does he have true freedom? What's important to you on that path? Because I can almost guarantee you that it makes more sense to assume that you're not special and assume that whatever that man or group of men that are doing what you want to do are doing, that you are not going to be able to put a trick on the game in a way that would not leave you in the same position that they're in. So take a hard look at your mentor's life. Take a hard look at his workload. Take a hard look at his stress level, his personal life. Does he get to leave whenever he wants? And then ask yourself the question, do I want to work 10, 15 years to put myself in his shoes, or will I be stuck when I get there? So very important things to consider.
Yeah, I think everything that you're touching on is probably the basis of everything. Because if you don't know where you're going, the actions that you're taking make no sense.
A lot of people end up painting a prison around themselves. I see it all the time, man. You got business owners, man. They think they want to own a business. Some of the most successful people in the world are employees. You know, entrepreneurship got super, super glamorized, I guess back 10, 15, 20 years ago, maybe. And now everybody wants to be an entrepreneur, man. But I think you can, if you get in there and you become really, really valuable to somebody, you'll probably end up on average making more money as an employee than you would an entrepreneur. I'm not trying to distress anybody from being an entrepreneur.
How would you measure that, or what can someone do to realize whether they can do that or not?
I think they got to get it out their system. And then they just have to be truthful with themselves. If they go to quit and they're okay and you're okay with it, then maybe it's not for you. But that doesn't mean that you can't go play the B-roll somewhere and make a bunch of money. Sometimes it's just the pressure of your whole life is on the line and your identity's on the line. Some people work better as employees. I know I have people that probably wouldn't want to own the businesses that I own, but they're very, very good with stress inside the business, because at the end of the day, it is my responsibility to make sure the company performs. And for that reason, they have the freedom to use that extra hardware to really push hard for me. And they get compensated very well. And I compensate them with no ceilings on their bonuses. So in a lot of ways, they have a business inside of my business. And that's ultimately always my goal for an employee, is try to create a way where they can take ownership in the business, and that there's no cap on the amount of money they can make, because I feel like ultimately that would demotivate me. So why not amplify their motivation and their fire and their drive and their buy-in by creating a bonus structure that doesn't have a ceiling on it? Go, bro, I hope I pay you $250,000. I hope I pay you $250,000 this year.
Yeah, that's what I love about capitalism, man.
Yeah, bro, I hope I do, because if I pay you that, I know what I made. Mm-hmm. And that's good for everybody. And I think that being a good boss is setting people up to be graceful, number one, based off of whatever talents that God gave them. I do think that there's certain positions in companies that take certain type of personalities or certain type of attitudes or certain type of age. I even think about man, woman, what age, what period are they at in their life? I think about all those things when hiring. And I think one gift that I truly have now that took me a long time to get to is really understanding how to place people to be graceful and then empower them to do their job and create create a structure in which they can get excited about coming to work, because they know that if they hustle and they bang that day, their life is just going to get better because I'm not capping their pay. So there's a lot to think about when it comes to entrepreneurship. There's, like me and Tom talked about today, I mean, you have to be able to solve all the problems in the world, be a good leader, be graceful when other people are not, and set people up for success. So it's not an easy thing to do. And it doesn't mean that you're not going to be good in business if you don't own a business. Maybe you just need to have a position in somebody else's business with no ceilings, and you can go to the moon, or take that company where they're trying to go. I feel like good bosses recognize that. So
now, you always talk about something that to me is very interesting, and it's this concept of appreciating the men that are actually outdoors building shit. They're not doing a crypto pump.
Yep.
They're not building an online store. Touch on that, because I think we have, at least for me as a young guy living in the US, I didn't grow up here, but I came here about 10 years ago. And now everything that I see on social media is 21-year-old kids driving G-Wagons, and they're telling you about their Amazon store. But you have a complete different take on that I don't think anyone else, I haven't seen anyone else talk about that. What does it mean to be a man and build a country right now? And what's your take on that?
Well, to me, it's not even about me at this point. It's about the men that get up and go to work every day. Like, look out there, bro. Look at all those buildings. There's cranes in the air. There's concrete trucks going down the road. All the things that make society work are generally going to these hardworking people that have to go in the sun every day, that have to create a hell of a skill. Being able to erect a metal building, for example, it's a very dangerous trade. You make one mistake and the whole building could fail inspection, or the roof could leak, or if the slab is poured and they don't meet the formula for the concrete, then they could fail a slump test, or they could pour it and this concrete could crack and somebody could die, could cave in. There's so many things, the electrical, everything about this world that makes our life what it is generally built by very hardworking men and women, but mostly men in the sun building society, man. And I think that there's a true inequity in the world around how construction workers get paid and how truck drivers get paid, and like just across the board, the people that make this world go. And I wish there was something that could be done to fix it. I often say that, and I would never run for president. I'm just using this as an example. But if I ran for president, I'd make certified payroll a deal tomorrow and make sure everybody in the country was getting paid correctly. And I would want it to be in line with the actually how valuable it is to the world. Because I always talk about, like, there's a girl on Instagram that can shake her ass and make more money than the guy that laid the road for us to get here. And I have nothing against the girl shaking her ass. And I don't have anything against OnlyFans girls. I just simply have a heart for the men that build this country and that build anything anywhere, because everybody else gets to live this really plush life because of these people that get up every morning before daylight, work all day in the sun, and go home and don't even get appreciation for it. So I just want to salute those guys every chance I get. I've been there and I've done it. But more importantly, I have guys that work for me that do it and support their families doing it. And I just simply understand how hard it is to get something built and in a place where you can actually get entry into a building, get occupancy. And I don't think the average person understands that and appreciates the guys wearing hard hats in this country. So I'll never come off of that. In fact, I was been planning to do this, but I want to start a campaign. Every time somebody sees a guy in work boots or a hard hat and they're in a grocery store or trying to buy their lunch in the middle of the day, I always try my best, if they'll let me, to buy their lunch or their 12-pack of beer on the way out. And I challenge anybody that follows me to start doing that. I'm going to make the campaign called Buy the Man a Beer, because I just don't think they're respected and treasured enough, and they build the fucking world. And without construction workers, man, this this world just doesn't run. And I can't talk about that enough. So challenged everybody. If you see a guy that you can tell has been working hard in any kind of job, either whether it's construction, driving a truck, septic tank, trash guy, any of these guys, police officer, buy the man a beer or buy his lunch or whatever you can. And for God's sakes, tag me, because I will repost it on my channel. I do not care. I want nothing more than these guys to get the respect they deserve. It is a hard life out there for these guys building the society. So yeah, that's my thoughts. Sorry for the rant.
No, man, I love it. I got my start in like professional big studio films as a location scout. And as part of the locations team, like we're the guys coming into the building at 3 a.m. to set up the trash and where the restroom trailer is going to go and park all the trailers on the street. And like we work with the transport captain, and like I know the part of production that nobody else sees. Like everyone sees Hollywood and like the billboards and all of that, but production,
it's a lot like a construction site.
100% like
a lot like a construction site.
We work with the city to pull permits, to close the roads.
Gotta close the roads off. Yep.
Yeah.
Man lifts for the cameras, all of it. Yeah.
Yeah. And we have guys like the transport captains are hard guys that have been driving trucks and like doing all of this. And I remember, bro, like I was like 24, I think at the time, and I was in Atlanta, and I had to shut down 8 blocks of downtown Atlanta to shoot for 2 weeks for this big TV show. And
permits, traffic control.
Yes, it was. And I felt like a kid, and I had to go to talk to the transport captain, and he's like landing 18-wheeler trailers in this parking lot, and it's like 3 a.m, and I have to tell the guy like how to do it or like where to put it, because I know the permit that we pulled, and like, but
I get it.
To me, I felt so honored to work around those guys because they were actually getting shit done. And without any of that, there's no Hollywood, there's no way to like get the lights on or like put the cameras on. So I respect them, and I'm part of the 399 local union that is the Teamsters with the drivers and the location people and all of that. So I've been around those people. The thing that I agree with you, we need to find a way to give them appreciation and respect, because they don't get it, and I don't know how to fix it. Because when you think about Hollywoods and movies and TV shows, the lead of a TV show is never the construction guy.
No.
You know, it's the Wall Street lawyer, is the tech startup guy, is the hot guy that is a model.
Yep.
Or you have the other side of the coin, which I'm interested to see your perspective on, which I hate when I see it, is the dad that doesn't even know how to tie his shoes, and he's like funny and dumb, and he can barely make any money, but he's funny, and he likes.
Thank God he has a smart wife. Yes, bullshit. Yeah.
Yes. So I hope that with the films that I make, I get to change that, and I get to make badass movies where guys are like killing a bunch of people and like blowing shit up and like doing rat shit, you know?
Yeah.
So what's your take on that? Because I love Hollywood more than anything.
Yeah.
And I don't think there is any like evil plan to do this, but I see it time and time again with the shows and the movies where the dudes are just like pitiful.
Yeah, this has been going on for quite some time, man. Even when I was growing up, there'd be sitcoms where the dad's like very clearly incompetent. And I think by and largely that may have started out as just to be funny. And then maybe as feminism is increased, maybe it's more glaring. But the truth is that I remember when it was cool to be a competent, like when Rambo and Jean-Claude Van Damme and all these movies, when they were really action heroes. And I believe that the reason that guys like me or guys like Tate get so much of a following is because they've taken these characters away. I was just sitting with Andrew at his house in Romania, and I had a photo sent to me by a young man, and it was 2 posters, one of me, one of Andrew, side by side on the wall, framed, and a quote I said, a quote he said. And I said, look at this. And he goes, dang. I said, bro, you know what? That used to be Rambo. And he goes, bruv, I know. And it's because in a lot of ways, I feel like they've taken superheroes away from young men. And I think that they would immediately say this because they think it's toxically masculine and all these other things. But the truth is, and even though it's repetitive, I think young men need to be masculine. And like Peterson or whoever else would say, they need to also be capable and also be capable of danger and be violent if they have to be. And that's not wrong, as long as they can love and protect the people around them that they should be caring for. And most of those, and I would say all of those movies from the 90s, 80s, and 90s, it was a good guy doing bad things to protect and provide and take care of people that he cared for. And I think that that's not a negative thing for a young man to see at all. So I'd love to see them put real action heroes back in the movies. It seems like they're just redoing a bunch of comic books, but man, I'd love to see one like fresh out the gate, new script, not another Rambo movie. Like, make a new superhero.
Well, my guy for that is Mr. John Wick.
You like Wick?
I've
never seen it.
You have never seen John Wick?
No, man. I'm not a big Keanu fan, actually.
I love him because of The Matrix. Yeah. I'm a huge fan of The Matrix.
I was watching I watched The Matrix for the first time when I was in Romania. Tristan made me watch it. And
what did you think about The Matrix? This is interesting. I had no idea I was going to talk to you about The Matrix.
It makes perfect sense, bro. Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Like, I understand why Andrew calls it The Matrix. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So,
you know, funny thing about The Matrix, huge fan. I watch the 3 back to back every year, at least once a year. I really like those movies. When I was in Cuba, I grew up in the Christian evangelical church all my life. And the funny thing is that my first few times as an adult watching that film, I thought that the entire thing was just Christ. It was Jesus Christ. Right. He's the savior. He's the one. And that entire like narrative made total sense. Then when I came to America, I went through a whole transformation of my beliefs, religion, all of that. And I kind of let go of believing in all of the norms and all of that. And then when I watched The Matrix again, after that, it took on a completely different meaning. So now watching it, like, I agree with you and Andrew and all that. You guys take it, I think Andrew takes it to a higher degree of heightened narrative of this big conspiracy to control us. I don't believe that is by intent. I think that just happens. It happens because we're humans, and all of these humans are like doing their thing. And if you will always have enough people that think a certain way, so they will do their actions over here, and these people will do it over here. They're probably not connected at all. And I get into arguments with my friend Abraham about this all the time because he's a big believer in like big conspiracy theories. And I'm like,
you a tin hatter, bro? Are you a tin hatter?
Yeah. No. So to me, it's like, bro, we try to organize these things and they don't work.
Yeah.
Like, we have massive companies trying to be organized to do things and they don't work. So I don't give the conspiracies as much credit, but I do understand and agree that we are in some sort of web of things that happen and work. And we need to kind of like what you were saying of taking a high level view of everything and being able to see all of those connections and then make different decisions. To me, that's what it means to break out of the matrix.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I agree with you completely. So the real answer is freedom always. And one thing you have to do yourself, one of the biggest parts about getting out the matrix is actually to free your own mind. Because if you don't free your own mind first, you'll never be able to create the financial freedom. You'll never be able to get out of the rat race trap of how poor people or trapped people think. So you have to first free your own mind, take the pill. And that takes some digesting, by the way. It's not just pop the pill and then, oh, you're good. It's going to take time to like unpack a lot of old beliefs you had. Mm-hmm. Thinking poorly, like thinking that money can't flow to you abundantly, thinking it takes money to make money, thinking that, you know, only rich people can live a certain life. Like, you have to unpack a lot of these things. Maybe female nature, maybe you're super blue pilled and you can't hold a relationship because you're sending flowers and poems too much, and she's like disgusted by you because you're just all over her. You don't understand frame. So
yeah, let's talk about that, because like I'm a super romantic guy. I love the whole letter, flower, all of that.
Yeah.
So let's move now into that. I think we cover money and all of that.
Cool.
Very well.
Let's do it.
So the first video I watched of you was your interview with Tristan, where you have the text and the song.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry I come to this. So much I'm going to miss.
Yeehaw. Yeah.
I had never had to do that until that time when I watched that video, and I was going through a situation in my life that it required that 100%. But part of me is like, I never got to experience that, where you have to completely cut ties with a woman like automatically because it just doesn't match or fit with your life. I think for young guys, that's very hard to like understand, and maybe they won't even understand it until they have lived through it. So what would you say is the biggest, like the first step for a young guy to be able to go on that path of knowing how things really work with women?
I think there's a series of podcasts and a series of books that any young man would benefit from reading. So you could watch red pill content. I would just do it with a grain of salt and understand that not all women are bad. You are seeing the most exploited version of women, and those are not the type of women you're going to want to marry anyway. So I would understand that. But what they are doing is highlighting some hypergamous nature that will be more subtle in the real world, will be more subtle in your interaction with someone else. The other thing I would understand is that as a man, you should take responsibility of what your girl does. And so what I mean by that is a lot of men don't understand it, but they get cheated on or they get broken up with because they didn't properly hold frame, you know, and they didn't create an atmosphere in which she would not want to leave him, or she would get addicted to him and want to stay, and he's doing everything right. So like I said, the red pill content, I think that reading all of Rollo's books are a really good idea for any young man. And I think it's really important that young men don't focus on getting women in their 20s, but they focus on understanding women in their 20s or when they're young, because what they should be doing is working on themselves while they're understanding. So by the time they do get to in a position where they're high value or doing quite well for themselves, they don't get raked over the coals by a woman that would have stayed with him if he would have understood her in a different way. And I think that's what's most important. I really want to emphasize the fact that I think there are really, really good women in this world. But I also think you could take one woman and give her to guy A, and she'd be cheating on him, talking to guys in DMs, and give her to guy B, and she wouldn't even dream of it. He has her passwords. Like, she's like, I'll delete it for you. And a lot of that's going to be off of frame and the man that you become. And that's why I think it's very important that a young man study and understand female nature, not in a hateful way, but in an understanding way. Because if you really love your wife, you're going to game her forever. You know, I believe in something called dark love. So
Dark love. Okay.
Yeah.
This is new. I haven't heard this.
Yeah. So it's basic. My thoughts on it. If it's not me and you against the world, we're going to do things different with me. You know, I'm traveling a lot, you know, there might be girls, all these other things, but if it can't be me and you against the world, if I'm in competing battle with your retarded girlfriend that's in a relationship that she's not even happy in, I'm not the guy for you. I love you. I'll let you go. But dark love to me is what I would tell my girl. Like, me and you are going to the dark side of the moon. You know, the world could hate us. The world could be burning down and we'd be slow dancing in a burning room. And if I can't have love like that, then I don't want love at all. So all my emojis, even rose, black heart, rose. Real love is dark, man. Real love is holding hands with two skeletons. You know, real love is getting buried by each other. You know, real love is, you know, she'll take a charge for you. Not that I would have somebody, but she'd also kill for you. It's dark, man. The realities of the world is dark. So why would the most important thing in the world, love, not be dark as well? In reality, real love is dark. You have to be able to love people through every situation and be ride or die, because when you have trust, a lot of these people that are even married, I don't even think they love each other. I think they got married because it was time. Any woman that's around me, it's like, you need me to delete Instagram? You need me to do this? You need me to, talk to this guy and get the scoop? Bro, real love's dark, bro.
Yeah.
And I think every woman wants to be on a ride like that.
Yeah. I agree with you 100%. Yeah. And I was married for about 10 years and then I got divorced. Yeah. And I thought I would never open up to a woman again.
Who called for the divorce?
I did.
Did you? Why?
We were completely different people. We were not aligned in our goals and what we wanted.
What did she want?
She wanted a simple life. And I did not want that.
And she wouldn't support you?
She would support me, but not come on the ride with me. And there was this constant, I think women are supposed to bring you back a little bit to the home. And you're supposed to be pulling always to go and conquer. And I think that healthy pull is needed. And then you get a good balance where you're always pushing and going and conquering and doing your thing. And then she's always finding ways to bring you home. But she didn't value my goals the same way that I did. And she didn't have the goals for her that she had when we first met. We also got married when we were 21.
Right.
And
very difficult.
Yeah. So I never thought I was going to find myself in a position again to go for that as deep, because I'm like you. If I'm going to do it, I want to do it 100%.
Yeah.
And it's funny, all the things that you're saying about love being dark and all of that, my current partner, she's like that. And she's I'll kill for you.
Yep.
I'm your ride or die. I'll do anything for you. Mm-hmm. And it was funny. Whenever I heard you guys talking on the videos about the Instagram this and the passwords and deleting Instagrams and all that, I never felt the need to ask for that before. And it was funny. This woman that I'm with right now that I love, we were dating, I think for a week. And she was like, oh, you can put my Instagram on your phone. You can have the password, do whatever. And she has a massive Instagram following, massive. And she's like, no, dude, no, put it. I don't care. You.
You know why?
Why?
Because truly women that can allow themselves to get feminine and really, really care and love for a man, they can't even see another man. What she really wants to do is give you that control of the relationship so that she can get that position with you in return. When a woman truly loves a man, she's not worried about other bitches. She's not worried about, you being working. She already believes in you. She wants to know that she is the queen. Mm-hmm. And for me, and probably for you, knowing that a woman is that loyal, down with you, ride or die, no matter what, and would so openly want to give you something like that, or to give her, be selfless for you in the cause, there's nothing more attractive. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. And it also makes it that much more fulfilling to take care of her, or take her on vacation, or go buy her, a dress, or take her to a nice dinner or whatever. That shit's not simping. Mm-hmm. Simping is an unequal exchange of value. When a woman is in love with you like that, you can give her the moon. And to be quite honest, it's not worth loving somebody or doing all that work if you can't give it to somebody who's ride or die, dark side of the moon with you. Does that make sense?
100%.
So it doesn't surprise me at all that she gave her the password to your handsome ass, because what she's trying to do is seal that. Mm-hmm. And that's what you want. You know what you ought to get her to do?
What?
Start getting her to hand journal experiences between the two of you.
Say that again.
Start getting her to write hand journal entries about experiences with you. I'll tell you the subjects later. I'm not going to say them online.
Yeah.
Bad boy.
Yeah. Well,
It creates
Justin, I'm happy to report that has already happened.
Good,
friend.
Good, bro. Did you instigate it?
No,
bro. You need to though. You need to leather bound binder that wraps like very detailed number .00 pen, this color, like get her really into it. And then you need to give her the subjects.
Okay.
And then make sure she's erotically detailed in it. When she writes it, it's so in that. And if you really believe in the love is actually like dark like that, some people say, "Oh, that's psycho shit. That's how do you say this? It's insecure to have her Instagram." No. When she really loves you, she wants to create that bond as much as possible. She's not trying to get away from you. She's trying to be right up here against your chest, right? Creating that atmosphere for her and making her life that carpet ride, taking her through time and space. You know, like there's nothing better than if a woman has already done all those things, it's nothing to her and it's certainly nothing to you. But if it's this new thing where she has all this risk and there's all this excitement, she has a lot to lose and she's doing all these things and then you're taking her on a journey, then the love just gets deeper and deeper.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. And so I think I call it dark love, but it's really just old school game, bro. And it's not even game. Like it's not pickup game. It's frame.
Yeah. And to me, to be honest, bro, like I haven't watched any videos on this.
Bro, I don't study game at all.
It happened. I think honestly that I got really lucky and I found the right woman.
Right.
That wanted that. Because I also been with other women that were the opposite from that.
I think most women want it. You know, one thing that the reason that I think women want to get married and they want to get a ring so much is because they want to be claimed. Like he says, I'm mine. You know what I'm saying? Like what other way could you make a woman feel special than like she is fucking mine, boom, ring or whatever. And I think in the scenario that you're in right now is like she wants to be claimed by you. And that is a beautiful thing.
It is.
It doesn't have to be negative. You know, in 2023, it could be framed however somebody wants, but it sounds like it's just a healthy relationship where she looks up to you, she supports you, she believes in you and wants to give herself to that cause. And I think that by and largely, if most women could get themselves in a position when they were in love like that, then they would be substantially happier than going out and competing in the marketplace.
Yeah, it's really sad for me to see so many people talking about the complete opposite of what we're talking about, where it's like pushing women to sleep with as many guys as you want, just go have fun
on your journey,
make all of this money and like focus on making money or focus on like attracting all of these guys or being the hottest one. It's like the sad thing is that the women that I have seen that are deep down that path, they can't even find happiness, even if they have those things, which is really sad. Like I've been around like models and actresses and like the most beautiful people the most attractive women you could think of, and they could have any guy they could want. And even when they have this guy and this guy and this guy, it's still like something there that if it's not fulfilled by this one man that does the thing that you're saying, where this is ride or die, this is us.
Yeah.
I think without that, we're not completely happy, which is very interesting. Like we kind of need to have that need of connection, like met some way, somehow. Like in my case, and this is what I was telling you in the car, like I decide and I like the fact that I'm choosing this one woman and I'm going to give you all my attention romantically. I'm deciding to give you that attention. And it's a choice that I have. And I wanted to talk to you about that because everyone has like different ways that they live their life and I'm open with anything. But to me, it's curious why people decide to not do it that way. And in my experiences, that's kind of my inclination to do it that way. It doesn't mean that I can't get women. Like I could get any woman that I want.
I have no doubt, G. I have eyes too, cowboy. I see. I think you can get women. So proceed.
But I think it's more valuable, at least for me. I find more value in deciding that I want to choose her and her alone.
Sure.
And I'm going to be loyal 150%.
Yeah. Beautiful.
So
No rebuttals from me.
cool.
Yeah.
So now what about the other side of the coin where we have so many guys talking in video after video after video that you need to have 3 girlfriends and you need to have like all of this rotation and
Right.
all
No,
of that.
I get that. I do think it's important for a man to be an abundance of choice. I do think that if a man becomes too common, he can start to get not taken advantage of, but start to lose respect and start to lose value to a woman if he's too. And I think that's in any relationship.
Yeah.
To me, I'm never going to promote men going and getting a bunch of women. I do think there's a lot of negotiating power in being a hot commodity. It's no surprise to me that you're a hot commodity with women. What you choose to do with that is completely up to you. What I would focus on is making yourself scarce or to create what Rollo would call passive dread.
Passive dread.
Passive dread.
What does that mean?
It's basically if girls are DMing you, maybe say, baby, look at this. Would you get these hoes out of my inbox? You know what I'm saying? And she'd be like, what the fuck? You know? Yeah, just shit like that. I would never promote manipulating a girl though. Mm-hmm. You know, I wouldn't do that at all. Me in my particular case, ideally I like women that like women, you know, and that way, you know, it can be a group activity, you know. So you and your wife play cards. Me and my wife might play blinds. So I don't, you know, but again, it goes back to what I always say is like what I want for anybody that would ever ask me a question like the one you're asking. What I want for you, man, is choice. I want you to be happy and you to do what you feel like is right in your heart. And nobody's going to be able to answer that but you. And so as long as it's good in your heart and you're not drawn or haunted by the situation that you're in, you're doing the right thing, man. And your heart's going to be undefeated in your life. So I would advise that if it feels good to you, keep doing it.
Beautiful. Yeah. Now let's talk about breakups.
My friend. Let's do it.
Because
a breakup a week, bro.
A breakup a week.
I'm full of shit. No, Tristan has a breakup a week. I have a really good retention rate, actually. Our retention rate's strong. Yeah.
Again, the first video I watched from you was that one video.
Yeah, the Gentleman Gang video. Yeah, it has like a million something views. Yeah.
That is some hard shit to pull. And like now I feel like
what's hard to pull?
The one text and then completely done forever and ever. I learned my lesson. I got my vaccine of that. Mm-hmm. It only took one time. I think I will never struggle with that ever again. Like right now I'm in a place where like, I don't want to ever end my relationship that I'm in right now. But if it ever come to that, I know 100% I could send that text and be completely like,
bro, it's crazy. I introduced that song to them and we started talking about it. And then Andrew started singing it in Jules' house, Sartorial's house in Dubai. And I'm like, they really like this song. And then we started talking about it more. And now today, after all of this, I get at least one text message a day of a screenshot of some dude telling some girl somewhere in the world, I'm sorry it's come down to this. There's so much about you I'm going to miss. And then they send a pin to Cheyenne, Wyoming. I'm like, yeehaw, cowboy. Could somebody get me in touch with George Strait, please? I feel like I watched this video the other day on YouTube where it was like every comment, it was George Strait singing Still Make Cheyenne. And he's like, JWaller sent me here. JWaller sent me here. George, what's up, bro? We got to do a pod, man. We got to talk about this. But
you definitely have to.
Everybody blow George Strait up and tell him there's a cowboy in Louisiana that wants to talk about Still Make Cheyenne. But yeah, man, it's so true. I think that's one of the most beautifully written songs. I think that song means a lot to me. It's one of my favorite songs of all time. I have a country music called G Country Music Playlist, and I let no simp songs in there. In fact, I thought about doing a channel called The Gospel of Country Music and taking all these songs and like unpacking the lessons in it. And Cheyenne would probably be number one. The first one I would do, man, because you look at that song, you know, telephone rang about 8:45. She heard his voice on the other end of the line and wondered what was wrong this time. This man is living on the road. He's like these guys that we talk about that aren't appreciated. This is a truck driver. This is a guy in the construction business. This is a guy out on the road trying to build an empire for his family to have a legacy. Every man's got his own rodeo. You know, she wondered what his calls might bring. With a cowboy like him, it could be anything. I was a cowboy, just a steel cowboy, just chasing these jobs all over the country, man. You know, and of course it goes into the other parts, you know, where she's like, I found somebody new, and he's saying he sure ain't no rodeo man, you know? And so right there, he has a decision. He can either argue and beg and all this other stuff, or he can leave that phone dangling off the hook, give it one last look, and just walk away. And that particular part is the part that I assume that you're talking about. And that, my friend, takes what we in the war room call an iron mind. At that point in the relationship, if that boundary is crossed, you can non-emotionally say what you have to say and say, listen, it's either going to be this way or it's not. And a woman is either going to have to respect you or lose respect for you. And that respect is going to be held within whether you can hold your ground or not. I've done it, and I've lived through the pain of it. And you just have to ask yourself, whose will is stronger, me or this 100-pound woman who is naturally, genetically more emotional than me? Am I going to let her beat me at a game of will and strength of the mind when I know that she's naturally more emotional than me? That, and understand that if you start contacting her or blowing her phone up or watching her stories or phoning her mom and doing all of these things that are emotional actions, she's naturally going to be less attracted to you. And you're going to push her further and further and further and further away until she lands on something you don't want her to land on. And that's the dude down the street, right? So you have to know that it's going to take an iron will and mind to be able to do this, because there's no pain greater than heartbreak. But you're not doing yourself a service by begging a woman to come back or catering to her breaking the rules of your frame, because she's not going to respect you if you can't be strong enough to have her be inside your frame. So I do believe respect equals love, and any man that wants to garner respect for a woman, particularly in a breakup, needs to be able to leave the phone dangling off the hook.
Just walk away.
Yeah. Catch that rodeo cowboy. Because guess what? In a few years, when you win the rodeo, the phone's going to ring again. Then it's up to you what to do.
Yeah. And that part is really sad. At least in my experience, it was sad because it's the
worst part.
Yeah, I still care about her and I wanted her to be happy.
Yeah.
But there was no going back.
Right. Bro, and you can shock a woman that way. You know, I've had conversations like that. It's like, you know what? I don't even act like a hard ass. I'm really going to miss you. You know, I'm really going to miss you. Take care. And she's like, wait, what? That's it? Cold. Got to be a G, bro. Yeah. That's the game. The hard part about this world is, like, people complain about women, but I think being a man, you actually have a better shot, because a lot of times women, they get all of their value at early. They get beauty. And that is a currency in this world. Beauty is a currency. So they get all their value at an early age and they get this beauty. But as a man, you're not guaranteed to ever have value, but you have the opportunity to rule your own world. And what's tricky and harmful or hard for women, I believe, and why I feel sorry for women sometimes, like, I don't think women have it easy, is because they can go conquer the same things that we went to conquer, except they've disqualified themselves from men. A woman that makes a bunch of money might as well be 6'4". Like, she puts herself out of the dating pool because of hypergamy wants you to go to cross her up. Mm-hmm. So the more financially successful she gets, the harder it is to find a date to prom, because she's taller than all the boys.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's fair. I believe women in the workplace are fucking phenomenal. I'll be the first one to say that. I feel for them because they run into that scenario. And that particular young lady will probably have to go so high up the pecking order that once she finds a guy that she can submit to like that, he's probably going to have multiple women. Is it fair? No, sir, it's not fair. Is life fair? No, sir, it's not. She'll also break a bunch of hearts of men that tried and tried and tried and tried on the way up. It's quite the predicament that we're in 2023, but I don't think there's a good or bad side in the situation. But as a man, you need to be able to walk away. You need to be able to keep your respect for yourself, and you need to go work on you, because begging a woman back or catering and negotiating will never work. It is just simply a shit test that you will lose in. And I have no hate in my heart for women. I genuinely believe that. It's been my experience.
Yeah. Now, I know you have family. I'm a father too. Yeah. I have a boy and a girl.
Nice.
And I was listening to you talk about like the future when they're teenagers.
Yeah.
That's hard, man.
What is?
Just thinking about what that is going to be like.
Raising teenagers?
Yeah. It's like, I don't have a plan. I know you have kind of a plan that you're going to like. I don't have a plan. I almost don't even worry too much about it. I think it's going to take care of itself. Like at that time, I know I'll be able to handle whatever it comes. So with kids specifically, the one thing that I wanted to talk to you about is for the young guy that doesn't feel ready. Like I didn't feel ready when I had my son. I was in college in my sophomore year. I have been in America for like a couple of years. And then it happened and I was happy, but I'm also crazy. I come from Cuba. Like we have kids, like we were 3 kids, 3 brothers, and like we had nothing. So we were like kids just like, but now I encounter like young men and they're afraid of having kids. They're afraid of the financial burden. They're afraid of being trapped by like the woman. They're afraid of so many things. And to me, like being a father is one of the best things I've experienced in my entire life. Mm-hmm. So what's your take on that, fatherhood?
So it depends on where you are. Are you asking me the question based around, well, I'll just answer it both ways. If you're a young man and you get a woman pregnant at an early age and you're not ready financially, it's not the end of the world. Here's the good news for you. And this is what you need to hold closely to your heart. If you succeed in business, the price of a child will be fucking pennies. Like my kids have everything you could possibly have, and I don't even look at it. Like, yeah, cool. A baby thing, $700. I don't give a shit. Like, whatever. Like, so if you actually hit your goal, that child is not going to affect your life in a financial way. And I think that's their biggest fear is financial and support. 2, yeah, I agree that a young man should not set out to have children until he has set his life up. I like to believe that at least wait till 30. Ideally, 35 would be the age I pick. And that's the age I picked to conceive. So it's not always going to go as planned. Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. But anybody that believes that they can't be successful because they have a child is a coward.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
Yeah, they blame. Oh, I had these kids and I got these bills. I'm like, bruv, you're going to have problems in this world. You didn't succeed in abundance enough where a child and a light bill was nothing to you. And so for any young man that has a girl pregnant right now or is freaking out because he's got a kid on the way or whatever it is, listen, brother, you can go out earn having 20 kids. You just have to go down the path and go do the work and go be competent where people need you and create value, and you'll make enough money to where if your girl got pregnant tomorrow, you'd be like, okay, cool. Hope it's a boy, winking face, whatever. Like it doesn't matter. Right. And so I would just stress to anybody that's stressed about the subject or worried that if you're in that position, listen, man, you could build a business in 18 months. You'll be laughing, being like, hey, we should get you pregnant again. So that's how I look at it personally. And there's a time in my life it would have scared me. And I can certainly tell you now, if I got pregnant with someone tomorrow, I wouldn't be concerned with it at all. I'd be like, okay, good. Let's celebrate.
Yeah. The only one thing I would add to that is whatever the stress, the fear, dude, when you have that kid, nothing.
Yeah, you don't want to send it back. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, bro. My son.
It's a beautiful thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
yeah.
And like my son had leukemia when he was 2.
Yeah,
and it was like hard. Like I was right out of college.
Yeah,
he got sick. My baby girl she was like about a year old. It was like the worst time of my life. It was really hard. And even through those times and going through all of that, bro, it's like, I wouldn't change anything. I had my son when I was like 24. I wouldn't change anything. I know, like, with the timing and whatever, and I agree with you, like, you should wait until you're older, you have a business, like, it makes everything easier. But even if it's happening right now, when anyone is like going through it and they're super young and they don't know what the fuck to do, you're gonna be okay.
Dude, I think it's a blessing. By the time you're 40 something, he'll be ready to step in and help.
Yeah, he's already helping, bro.
A legacy.
Yeah, he's already helping. Like, we did a podcast episode with him, like, he was here last week.
Yeah. How old is he now?
He's 8.
Badass. I love that.
And I took him to Tom's house and he was like with Tom, like looking at the video games and like designing his own video games. Like, it's amazing. So I'm super excited about him, and I'm excited about the future for kids and young people and all that. So I'm really excited about what you guys are doing with the War Room, with everything that you guys are putting in place. So tell me a little bit about that. I have been watching your content for a long time now, and Andrew and Tristan, and I was inside when it was Hustle University.
Yeah.
I think you guys do an amazing job teaching people how to actually make money and like real skills that schools don't teach you.
Right.
So tell me a little bit about that and what you guys.
Yeah, man. So the real world is a place where people that are actually working in that business that are millionaires are helping you in real time develop skills that can get you out of your situation. Flat out, nowhere else in the world are you going to learn how to make money in that business by a guy who's running that business that day with your particular problem, 24 hours a day, a group of people supporting you. Normally, you can't cheat off your classmates. In the real world, your classmates are giving you the answers to the test and encouraging you to perform. So not only are you getting the answers you need from somebody that's actually doing it, unlike a university professor who's not running a business in the real world, certainly not on the subject. You have teammates that help you. So you have a brotherhood, camaraderie, there's jokes, there's a lounge room in there. You have Luke, which in my opinion, Luke is one of the most underrated men on the planet. Andrew's cousin. He's one of the most intelligent, wise, well-read, knows what the fuck is going on people that you could possibly be learning from. He's one of my favorite people. Now, if I saw him, I'd call him a slur name. But for the record, having Luke in there, who lives in what we call the metaverse. Where's Luke? Oh, in the metaverse. He's actually in his room typing to some kid that's 16 years old making 20 grand a month on the internet. So the real world is the best online learning platform there ever was. And I would even argue it's the best college. It's the best school that's out there right now, because in the real world, you don't get a report card, you get a paycheck. And
like the real world.
Yeah, like the real world, and like changing people's lives forever, man. So I do believe that the real world is the best product in the world right now for helping people. It's very literal. It's very hands-on. Most of the time you get courses, right? And you watch some course and a guy makes a recording, he goes away. In the real world, if you have a question, you can go in 24 hours a day and ask somebody that's doing it right now, had that problem an hour ago. There's no other place to get the answers like there is in the real world. And as you know from being inside the campus, it's very well done. It's very well organized. It's broken up in a way. The professors are world class and make real money in the real world every day right alongside you. And it can change your life. I believe in it fully. On the 14th, they're coming out with an AI campus. One thing that I heard Luke say when I was in the real world the other day is like, listen, guys, AI is not going to replace you. It's going to take a hardworking guy who's doing a lot of things manually and teach him how to leverage and double or triple his production, being able to reduce his price a bit and then get more customers because of it and come out rich. So I'm really excited about the AI campus. I know that myself and my team are going to be in the AI campus. We have a spot already. I advise anybody that's thinking about joining the real world, join it now before the spots in the AI campus fill up, because I'm telling you, man, this AI thing is the future. I think it's going to affect economies. I think it's going to affect war. I think it's going to affect all business and social media. It's the future. It is a real thing. And I trust nobody more than Luke and the professors in the real world to be on the cutting edge of that at all times. And I believe that every young man that's in that AI campus is going to absolutely smash it. It's going to change a lot of lives, man. I'm super excited about it.
No doubt. Yeah.
Looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah. So I got a sneak peek at some of the table of contents and the things that they're going to be teaching and all that. So 100% agree. Like, that is like the next bubble that is about to like blow up.
Yeah, it's a generational thing, man. You know, like the .com bubble was a thing, right? Mm-hmm. This AI thing is serious. It is legitimately serious. I'm excited about what we're going to be able to jump in there and do.
Yeah.
Me and Thomas talk about it all the time. Like, bro, I'm ready for it to go, you know, because we're going to take everything we're doing to the next place and double and triple and quadruple content and be able to get our message out to the world. So any young man that's thinking about it should really just pull the trigger. For $49 a month, there's nowhere on earth that you're going to learn things you're going to learn in the real world.
For sure.
Yeah.
Now tell me about the war room. And I think specifically I want to talk about brotherhood and finding those strong men around you. That is lacking, like for so many people. I'm blessed that I have my brother, I have Abraham, I have Reggie. Like I have strong men around me, but I know that that's not the norm. So how did you find that? And like, how would you tell a young guy to be able to like screen people so they can actually build relationships? Because those relationships can make or break like your entire future.
Right. So the important thing about the war room for me is that not only is it the most powerful network in the world, but I know when I'm dealing with a guy from the war room, I already know what his base morals and values are. I can trust him in a way that I would not be able to trust a stranger. Like, case in point, I sent a war room guy $285,000 later last year to buy a mobile home park. And I'd never met him, but I knew he wouldn't snake me because I knew he was in the war room. It was like suicide almost. So there's a certain loyalty and a culture in the war room that provides the ability to create trust. And when you have trust in business, you have speed. When you have trust in brotherhood, you have speed. When you can truly trust somebody to have your back and you already know what they're about, that common understanding of who they are as a person because of the culture of the network that we're in the war room, it allows you to put so many walls down that you can actually just get to work and make some damn money. People make money together all the time in the war room. I laugh about it. People are like, it's $79.79 to get in the war room. I'm like, bro, if you don't make that money back in a month or so, you're not using the war room correctly. It's the best network in the world. It truly is. And it's not just the money that you're going to make. It's the mistakes that you're not going to make. You're not going to get your leg blown off in a divorce. You're going to have a frame right. You know, you're going to create strong, loving relationships with not only women, but other people. You're going to be a better leader. You're going to have a stronger mind. You're going to be in better shape. You're going to have better style. You're going to understand how to shake hands. Like, this is finishing school inside of a network of people that are on the same mission. It's a very beautiful thing. I love everybody in the war room. They're all brothers to me immediately. And that's why I go to so many in-person events, man, because the halls themselves, the typing is hard for me. So I'd rather just show up in person and be there with them. And I make money with these guys. I give them advice on their businesses, free, by the way. You know, and I know that there's plenty of other high level guys in the world. I'm not the richest guy in the war room by a long shot. There's a bunch of fucking ballers in the war room. We have a room just full of millionaires. Like, you have to be a liquid millionaire to be in this room. And those are the kind of guys that are showing up to these events. Those are the kind of guys that are mentoring the younger war room guys. If I have to choose between two guys to mentor, they're both 22. One of them's in the war room and one of them's not. I can tell you it's an easy decision. Because I already know the cloth of the man that's here. This guy might be made out of clay, but in the war room, we're chiseling people out of granite. We're taking that material. We already know what he's made out of, especially if he stays for any period of time. So forge each other in fire, push each other to do our best. It's nothing new, but the war room is the greatest men's group on the planet. Hands down.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, man.
Well, Justin, thank you so much for coming. I have one last question. If money was not an issue and time was not an issue, what would you do? What would you build? What would be the thing that you go after?
Probably the first thing I'd do is try to go help with like the water and stuff. Like, let's get, like, there's people in this world still that don't even have clean water, you know. I would definitely try to put something out to be able to get at least America in a position to pay the tradesmen more money, like something that they could put into the construction specs that regulate how guys get paid, you know, like prevailing wage jobs, things like that. And it would have to be in a way that all contractors had to do it so nobody could cheat, you know, because a lot of guys pay their guys cash, and it gets on my fucking nerves, pisses me off. The next thing I'd probably do is figure out how to help the people that protect this country, the veterans, man. I feel like veterans go to war, whether I agree with the war or not, they still did it. And they did it for what I believe is the best country to ever exist. And that's America. And a lot of times they come back and they fall on a life that they're many, many years behind on, and they're trying to catch up, and nobody's really there to catch them in a way that I feel like is responsible for America to do. So if I had all the money in the world, I'd probably touch those things almost immediately. I'd just hire a big team and just try to handle it somehow. And it's not even because I'm trying to be a Boy Scout. It's just shit that I can obviously see that could be fixed for people that super deserve it. You know, this isn't me being a good guy. I see how hard the tradesmen work. I see what it takes for America to be free. And I see that the world, by and largely, has the atmosphere whipped enough that nobody should go thirsty or hungry. You know, I'm not a great man for saying it. I just think it's true. So that's what I would do.
I love it. Well, thank you so much, Justin, for coming on the show.
All right, man.
Really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this interview, check out this other one, and I'm pretty sure you're going to like it. I'll see you on the next one.